Under the American rule, you generally aren't allowed to win your attorney's fees in court. However, there's a new law that can help you to win your attorney's fees. If you're a business owner, work for a business, or do business with businesses, then you need to know this new law. You need to know this new law because you can now win your attorney's fees from more businesses for certain types of lawsuits. And if you own a business, then you need to know that you may now be liable for attorney's fees in more types of suits. If you want to win your attorney's fees, then you need to know the types of lawsuits that the new law applies to. The new law affects lawsuits a person or business organization may file based on an oral or written contract, rendered services, performance of labor, furnishing materials, freight or express overcharges, lost or damaged freight or express, killed or injured stock, or a sworn account. If you have a written contract that specifically addresses attorney's fees, then the terms of the contract will most likely apply. However, if your written contract doesn't address attorney's fees, then the new law will most likely apply. This is such a huge change because you were previously quite limited on the businesses that you could win your attorney's fees from. Before this recent change in the law, if a plaintiff filed a lawsuit for one or more of those 8 reasons I just listed, and the defendant was an individual or corporation, the plaintiff could recover the expenses for the lawsuit, the amount of the claim, and attorney's fees. So, what was the big deal? Well, if a plaintiff filed a lawsuit for one or more of those 8 reasons that I just listed, and the defendant was not specifically an individual or corporation, the plaintiff could only recover the expenses for the lawsuit and the amount of the claim. This meant that business organizations such as limited liability companies, limited partnerships, limited liability partnerships, professional entities, professional associations, and professional limited liability companies did not have to pay plaintiffs' attorney's fees under the same circumstances that an individual or corporation would have to. You can now win your attorney's fees, expenses for the lawsuit, and the amount of the claim against defendants who are individuals or business organizations if you sue for one of those 8 reasons. However, the Texas legislature specified that you cannot win your attorney's fees for those cases if the defendant is a quasi-governmental entity, a religious organization, a charitable organization, or a charitable trust. Let's presume that you're a member of an LLC that owns a restaurant. The restaurant manager wants to hire a world-famous head chef, but the head chef wants more than just a salary. In fact, her attorney drew up a contract and sent it over to you. After glancing it over, you sign it in your capacity as a member. 3 weeks later, you get a call from her attorney. It turns out that you should have read that contract a little closer. Despite the contract, the restaurant manager refuses to hire the head chef's little brother as a sous chef because the restaurant already has a sous chef with 20 years of experience. Also, the limited edition Lamborghini that was part of her signing bonus is sold out. It turns out no one in the office tried to order one. The attorney tells you that the head chef is considering legal options. Under the old law, the head chef could not win attorney's fees if she sued the LLC for breach of contract. Under the new law, she can actually win her attorney's fees if she sues the LLC. The lesson is that if your business organization is about to be involved in one of those 8 types of cases I just mentioned, like entering into a contract or performing labor, speak to an attorney before doing it. That way, you know what you're legally required to do and what your legal options are if someone doesn't hold up their end of the agreement.